You know you don't up, right?
No, I said no. I said I pulled into the garage at...
You know you don't up, right?
No.
I'm not sure how the Lakers didn't see this coming. This is complete retribution for Russell Westbrook. I feel like for the last 2 years, he was unfairly scapegoated with his tenure with LA. As Patrick Beverley said, leaving LA, their problems are way more than basketball. And now Russell gets to be with a team where he could truly be himself and thrive. I think we get to see Russ come back to his former self where he's happy playing basketball. Here's why. I just got a few thoughts on this trade, a few thoughts about LA, but let's go ahead and dig into it. So one, I don't think the Lakers utilized him right, and they couldn't utilize Russell Westbrook right because they didn't have the right personnel. They had no shooters, which means there was no spacing. It was literally those three guys, LeBron, AD, and Russ. Those were the guys that the Lakers relied on to get it done, and they put a bunch of pieces. They got rid of good players, and they just put a bunch of random pieces around these guys and said, hey, go make it work. But hey, it is what it is at this point. Now, when you consider who Russ will be playing with the Clippers, you got Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum, one of the Morris twins. I never get their names right, so I'm going to refer to it as that. Terrence Mann, and all of these guys are great shooters, by the way. They're shooting around 38%. I think Terrence is shooting 39%, which means Russ will have plenty of space to do what he does best, which is drive to the lane and kick out to his shooters. This Clippers roster is very good. If you look at this roster, they're a very deep team. They got other names like Bones Highland, Eric Gordon, Plumlee, who's been great for their defense in the post. So this team's deep, and I think they got a good chance to make some noise in the West. Now, secondly, Russ is in a point in his career where he doesn't need to be the guy every night. In fact, again, they have so many scorers on this team. You got Kawhi, you got PG, you got a couple other guys that could get hot on some nights. Russ can sit back sometimes. He doesn't need to feel pressure or force to make big plays so they can win games like he did in LA. Now, remember, the reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of people are going to say, well, I don't think it's going to work. And I'm going to get to a little bit of that later why it's going to work as well. Russ and PG played together. Paul George had a phenomenal season, and this was probably his best basketball he played in his career is when he was playing with Russell Westbrook. Remember that. So these guys, they already know how to play together. They all know each other's chemistry, so that's going to be good. And then you're getting a coach upgrade with Tyronn Lue. Darvin Ham, we know I think he's a first-year coach. They fired Frank Vogel last year, and this is Darvin Ham's first year coaching with Tyronn Lue. This is not his first time coaching multiple superstars. He's not afraid to make tough calls. He's not afraid to call his star players out. He's not afraid to hold his star players accountable. So this is, again, a very good coaching upgrade. Tyronn Lue is a championship coach. He's been in this position before where he's got 3 former superstars, wherever you want to say these guys are in points in their careers, but Tyronn Lue is the best person for the job. Now, one thing that just occurred to me on the Lakers, right? So last week, I did a report about this article that came out that said the Lakers have been releasing negative information about Russ, so no team will want him. I think that has completely backfired on the Lakers in multiple ways, and we're going to get into that, right? I think the Lakers did that because they knew that the Clippers were a very real contender to get Russ. One, the guys from LA, his family's there. It only makes sense that the Clippers were his first choice in the buyout market, right? Now, why would the Lakers not want Russ to go to the Clippers? Because if he has any form of success under the Clippers, LA is going to look extremely bad. They're going to look like a very incompetent organization. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. To be honest, the Clippers were already a playoff team without Russ. They're 4th seed in the West right now. So acquiring him, where does that put them? I think they're going to be good. And I think they have a chance to come out the West. I said that earlier in this season before they even got Russell Westbrook. And if you were looking at my community tab, I said it a few hours before this news got broken that I still think the Clippers have potential to come out of the West because they're a very good team. Now, I'm not saying they'll win it all, but they have a very good roster. They have a very good coach. If they find a way for Russ to get into this system, and there aren't many teams that that are going to be able to stop this guy in seven game series, by the way, I think they have a chance to come out the West. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about the Suns? I was big on the Suns at first, but now that I'm thinking about it, the Suns did give up a few core pieces to get KD, and Chris Paul's not the same Chris Paul that we're used to seeing. And Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they're both basically ISO guys. Some of the two best scorers in the league, right? But as we saw, when you put the best scorers in the league on one team, that doesn't necessarily always guarantee success. We saw that with the ISO gang in the Nets when it was James Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant. And most of that was, again, unfortunately, Kyrie's fault. And it just doesn't work sometimes. So we'll have to see how the Suns do. Not saying they're going to be garbage, but I don't think they're going to be as good as I initially thought they were going to be, or that we thought they were going to be, right? The only problem I see with Russ is maybe his shooting. When you have so many shooters around him, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, because like I said, they're not going to rely on him, but his turnovers as well. Those are like the main two things, is his shooting and his turnovers. That's always been a problem for the last 2 years for the most part, right? Okay, so I do want to give a shout out to Dreamers Pro, because he brought up a very good point regarding if the Russell Westbrook experiment doesn't work in the Clippers, right? What he said is basically, I guarantee you that you will not see reports of Russ being scapegoated on this team. You won't see a lot of news articles calling him a vampire and a locker room cancer. And the more that I research about how the Lakers did, and now I'm seeing some reports that Clutch Sports may be involved. It's very shady what I hear going on over there, right? The more I start to research and I find out. But here's why I never bought any of that, right? Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley, they're both known for their beef with one another, right? But after Patrick Beverley's departure and Russell Westbrook's departure, I don't know why his name always destroys me. He had nothing but positive things to say about Russell Westbrook. Here's the most recent quote that we have from Patrick Beverley on Russell Westbrook. So he said, to see how Russ is every game day, the first person in the locker room, every single game, Beverley recalled, I'm on the bus, the first bus, Bron on the first bus, AD on the first bus. We get to the locker room, Russ is there, dressed, fully workout already, headphones on. He also said, now that they're apart, Beverley says their bond is something that will never be broken. He said, that's my dog, lifetime dog, like some real ish, Beverley said. We called it real brother vibe. It was some real ish though. I didn't know he knew the game of basketball the way that he knows the game. He knows the game in and out. So my question is, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of people have that narrative that Russ is a bad locker room guy. He's a vampire. He's a cancer because what they've been spoon fed by the media. So my question is, if Russ was such a locker room cancer and a bad teammate and a vampire, how does what Patrick Beverley has to say versus what the Lakers have been saying add up? It seems to me like these guys didn't fit LA's toxic culture, and maybe that's why they were shipped out. And maybe this is why AD looks so bothered, because again, Patrick Beverley said they got more things going on than just basketball in that organization. And it's not necessarily the players, but it's the stuff up top. So I don't know, man. The Lakers seem super shady. I'm glad that Russ is in a spot where he could potentially be happy playing basketball and see some success and possibly get a ring. Who knows? But I'm just happy that he's in a place where he's not going to be scapegoated. Russ, I hope you have success in LA playing for the Clippers. I hope it brings your joy for basketball back because we know it got to a point where every media interview, Russ didn't even look happy at times being questioned by the media. We didn't get to see that same Russ we saw in OKC and Houston having fun with the game. But anyway, guys, until next time, I will see you later.